Welcome to CONEXEC, a global leadership platform for construction executives. Today we have Jeff Hudepohl. I've known Jeff for quite some time. He is you're the CEO, right? Not the president?
No, I'm actually the president.
Okay, you're the president of Valley Interior Systems, and which most people know as Visio. And rather than me go through and kind of give the background of Jeff, I'd like for him to do it. And so, Jeff, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Scott. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
So tell me a little bit about you and tell me about your company. Did you grow up in Cincinnati?
Well, yeah, I'll start. I live in northern Kentucky, actually. I live in Fort Thomas. I went to Eastern Kentucky University, graduated from there in 1981 in the construction management department. And I believe I was in the first 4-year class graduating. I think there was a low graduation the year before for people that were in other fields before they got in construction management. So I've been an avid EKU follower, and after graduation, I went with a contractor by the name of R.B. Brunneman and Sons. In 1981, things were not, going real well in the construction industry, and it took me about a month to get a job. And this R.B. Brunneman and Sons, I was like, what business is this? And they were a prime subcontractor, and I always thought I was going to be working for one of the big guys. And ended up I was with this specialty subcontractor, as I call it, and doing drywall, metal studs, light gauge metal framing, that kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed it. And so that was the start of my career.
So why'd you choose Eastern to go to school?
So while in high school, I went to Highlands High School. Some people are familiar with that. And it was back in the day when we had a full industrial arts department. And I loved industrial arts. I loved building things with my hands, etc. And my teacher was an EKU grad, and he got me involved down at Eastern. They had some different programs that they took seniors, juniors, and seniors down to at Eastern, and I fell in love with the campus.
So did you finish in 4 years, or were you a super senior 5 or 6 years?
No, 4 years and got me out. Yes, in and out. So yeah, that's about the only thing I can pat myself on the back for anymore. I had friends that were on the 5-year plan, 6-year plan, some 7-year plan.
So why construction?
I got to tell you, from the time I was a little kid, I loved building. We all had Lincoln Logs and Legos, etc. I loved doing that. I had the sand pile in the backyard or the sandbox I built cities in. I just always loved doing things with my hands, and construction was the way to go. So my dream at one time was to be an architect, and I wasn't artsy enough for that in my mind. So I went to the nuts and bolts and got right into the construction.
Well, you know what? You wouldn't have fit into the architectural community anyhow, so I'm glad you're a construction manager.
I agree.
So tell me the story behind Valley Interior Systems.
So I told you I was hired out of college with this company by the name of R.B. Brunneman and Sons, and it truly was the kickoff of my construction career. There was a gentleman there who hired me and became my mentor. His name was Bill Strouser. And Bill left there within about a year of me joining that company. And he went off and started a new company with some buddies by the name of the company was Valley Interior Systems. And it was to be a direct competitor of this company, R.B. Brunneman, which was sort of at the end of its career. R.B. Brunneman, it was a family-owned company that was really folding its doors and closing up. Mm-hmm. So I went with Bill in Valley Interiors in about '83, and in 1986, Bill bought his partners out, and we call 1986 the new Valley Interiors, and I was lucky enough to be his first full-time employee.
Oh,
So
wow.
that start, yeah.
And so where have you gone since then?
Well, we've gone, luckily, nothing but upward. One of Bill's promises to me was, "Hey Jeff, let's become a $3 million company, hire about 30 guys in the field, and make a modest living." And I said I'm all on, and we've taken it from there to 150 or so $1 million, and 700 or 800 people in the field. So we've grown tremendously in those 30 plus years.
So what's the future hold for Valley Interior Systems?
Oh, what does the future hold? I tell you, it's we're starting to talk succession now, so that's a big thing. But our goal is to keep expanding. We're blessed. We've got our headquarters is here in Cincinnati, and then we've got an office in Columbus, Ohio, Toledo, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, Lexington, Kentucky, and Nashville, Tennessee. So we've got, we're spread out top to bottom there pretty well.
So what do you think was the most significant event that pretty much shaped the business model that you have today?
Oh boy, let me see. I'd say there were two main things that really shaped our company. Again, I'm just going to tell you. So Valley Interiors, we're a specialty subcontractor, drywall, metal studs, light gauge metal framing, acoustic ceilings, plaster, and plaster meaning some of the old plaster, air barrier, etc. So that's the main scope that we do. So the significant events that have changed the business, one of them is, in my mind, light gauge metal framing. That took us from being a small contractor to a large contractor somewhat overnight. With the light gauge metal framing, it really changed the design of buildings, and no longer were they blocked with brick backup, et cetera, et cetera. They became light gauge metal framing. So you drive down the road today and you see most of these buildings with the exterior shell wrapped in light gauge metal framing, and then sheathing on top of that, and then a finish on top of that. So that, in my mind, was the big thing that changed us. And then I'd have to say the fact that we were not too scared to expand our footprint. We went up to Columbus, Ohio first, and then Dayton, Ohio, and then down south into Lexington, and then of course Toledo and Nashville, and so I think that has also helped shape where we are today. Is our footprint grew and grew.
So, so keeping that in mind, so how, I mentioned about the future here. Do you see anything else on the horizon, like material wise or location wise, that you think you're gonna go down that road, or is it pretty much where you're at right now is kind of what you're going to focus on?
No, I think it's a way, lots of our growth was through different products and product lines. But now I would have to say that the biggest thing that's going to change us is prefabrication. Prefab is really become the buzzword in the construction world. And with that, we've got a plant that we do our prefab in, and then ship it out to jobs. And those prefabs are mostly walls and trusses. So exterior walls and roof trusses are the two big things that we do prefab there.
So, obviously everybody has some skill sets or abilities that have led to kind of where they're at today. If you had to reflect on yours, and I know this is a tough one because you're a humble guy, but what skills and ability do you think you have that have helped the business along through all these years?
Well, Scott, I believe that my personal strength is probably sales and estimating. Um, that is the focus that I have given the company for my whole career. And I'm lucky enough to meet people, remember people, and work well with people. It also worked well with my two business partners, Mike and John Strasser. That was Bill's two sons that I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They each have strengths also. John is more in our operations area, and Mike, he dedicated himself to the administration, so the finance part of the company, but also did some other things beside that too. He was involved a lot in estimating also. So that's where I think my strengths really fall for the company is the sales and estimating part.
So if you had to go back to your, younger self, and you had to give both personal and professional advice to yourself as, say, a 23-year-old kid, what kind of personal and professional advice would you give?
Well, I would say don't be scared to make mistakes, and if you make a mistake, admit it and learn from it. That's a big thing. And I think another thing, I don't know if you're asking about me personally, I never burned a bridge. So that was something that I recommend, that for no one ever to burn a bridge with an ex-client or an ex-boss or an ex-employer overall. Don't burn bridges.
Could you give me an example of that, Jeff?
Yeah, in fact, like the burning bridges part, let's just say a contractor. We rely on contractors for all the work that we do, and as much as you could get in an argument over a job, whether it be about the pace of a job or this, that, the other, money is always the talk of a job. Is when you walk away from it, walk away with your head up and show your professionalism, and don't sit there and pound on them and burn a bridge that they would never want you to come back and do another job. It just might be the pressure on that one particular job that could screw things up for many jobs down the road.
And I wish more people would listen to that. I say to my folks all the time, I always tell them that customer service is dead in construction, so.
Most definitely. I mean, it's a person-to-person business. It definitely is. You got to go through the good times and bad times with the generals and the subs and the owners and the architects. We're all there to try to, build a building in a quick amount of time so that the owner can, open his business, and make money at the end. So, that's the nuts and bolts of this business.
So if you had to give an example of a success and a failure you had in your professional career, do you have one you would like to share with us? Because I think that a lot of people always say that they really like this section of the podcast, because not necessarily just learn about successes, but learn about the mistakes we made. I think one person said to me, he goes, I feel better knowing that there's a guy that's a president of a company that has made this kind of mistake. So do you have anything that stands out in your mind?
Well, mistakes I try to put in the back of my mind, but let me tell you about the success real quick, and then we'll go to a mistake. I think successes to me are being able to team up with the right people. I was lucky enough to fall in with Bill at an early age, and he taught me how to be a gentleman, along with my parents. But he business-wise taught me how to work with people, and I feel like I've been successful trying to show our employees how to work well with people and don't be argumentative, how to be professional at all times, how to admit to mistakes, and how to walk away, from potential problems that you don't want to get yourself into, to step back, think about it, and go back in and answer it the right way. So successful, that's sort of a way. Failures. There's a couple of people that, let me think here, that maybe I'm going to have to try to make up something, to tell you the truth, Scott. I think here a second. You caught me on a on a tough one there. We have had failures. We as a company taken off too much of a job, as in getting too much work and not be able to provide manpower for them all. That's something that every once in a while you get to that point where you feel like you can, it's important to get that next job, and there are times that we should have said no. We've tried to open up in a couple of areas that were non-successful for us. We learned through that. We went over to Indianapolis, tried to open up a shop over there, and we went in with the wrong mindset. It didn't work out, so we packed up and came home. So we've had, different things like that. We've made mistakes by trying to add different product lines to the company without enough research. Those became failures. So we've had plenty of failures. But like I said, I like to keep them way back in my mind.
Oh, I hear you. I think it's interesting when you look at, like, when I first met you, I hadn't, and gosh, it's been over a decade now since I've known you, Jeff.
Right.
And
Right.
I was always really, and this is kind of, patting you on the back a little bit here, but I was always really impressed with how personable you were. And the reason I say that's important is because you brought up like a success about being personable, realizing that construction, no matter how big of a company it is, it comes back to those personal relationships. And I always thought that's something that when I looked at, if someone asked me, what do you think, sets Jeff apart from other people? I'd say, well, gosh, when you're talking to him, you feel like you're the only person, you're focused in enough. And I got to congratulate you there. And that's something that I picked up on and I try to do with my company today.
Well, thank you very much. That's a very nice compliment. But I mean it when I say that life's too short, and we look to hire people that are grounded and that have the same thought process that both myself and Mike and John have, of just being good people and reaching out for a handshake and apologizing when you're wrong and not being too cocky when you're right.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that I hate when people say, well, it's just business. Well, who you are as business is who you kind of are. That's who you are. So
right.
Can't be a jerk at work all day long and then walk off the job and be a nice person. That's just
exactly. Exactly. And you know what? I have found out over the years that 99% of the people in this construction industry are really pretty good people. And I think that's the way of the world with most things. But, to go off on a tad of a tangent, one of the things I did about 10 years ago was joined a peer group. And I don't know if you are involved in a peer group or if you've ever, pushed for peer groups, but a peer group, the peer group I'm in are people that do the exact same business as Valley Interiors, and there's about 7 other companies that I'm talking about, ours being the 8th. Mm-hmm. And we meet twice a year, and we open up and talk about everything that's going good, everything that's going bad in our businesses. I can talk about our business, and they will pound me with questions about, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And, you get so much from other people. So that's something, Scott, that I think is really big and valuable out there, are peer groups.
And I'm 100% on board with you. The funny thing is I was a Vistage member for years, and then I went away for a little bit, and I got back involved because there's not one in my area, so I got back involved. But I think that's hugely important, to have.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
having some people, because you know how it is when you're the number one in an organization, you don't get to share a lot of things that you think it, you think about or you deal with on a daily basis because you're supposed to be the leader.
right, right.
And that platform is a good one just to hear what other people go through, and it's always nice to know that you're not the only person that has to deal with some of the issues.
You're exactly right. And I look at these peer groups differently than Vistage. Vistage and those kind of companies, which are great. You're with a bunch of leaders, so you're learning a lot, and they're telling you a lot. But this was actually, people a mentor in the same exact business as us. So
Well,
we talk the same lingo all the time.
So we kind of we're kind of going into like the speed round here, and I have 8 different categories. You can rate 1 to 10. They could all be 10, 10 being the most important and 1 being the least important. And it's just more about getting your opinion and getting your philosophy behind it. So with that said, we'll start with scheduling 1 to 10. How important do you think it is?
Oh, wow. I'll give you a number here. Let me think. Scheduling is very, very important. Getting the correct flow of a project, allows for everyone to get their tasks done and get them done efficiently, and that means additional money to the bottom line for everybody involved. So I put that up as one of those 10s.
Estimating.
Whew. Boy, you were right on that. There are some 10s, aren't there? So, I think the right estimate is, the footer or the foundation of the project. It's what really, gets it started off right. If your numbers aren't right at the beginning, it's a sort of a no-win for everybody. Yourself, again, the GC or the owner. So I'm giving that probably a 10 also.
Now I have contracts and contract administration. Contracts meaning paper, and contract administration meaning managing the administration of that contract.
Okay.
So, can you rate those 2 for me?
So, I'll put them sort of together. I think of again. I think you said it, but contract administration. I call that sort of what we here at Valley call the back of the house stuff. And we're so blessed to have dedicated administrative people that perform all of that for us, and very seldom get a pat on the back, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're out there sending bills out, and we're sending them out to 50 different people a month, and then they're paying all the receivables on time and all of that. So our CFO and his people have a lot of responsibility. I mean, a whole lot. I rate that up there as a 7 or an 8. It's very important that we bill and get paid as quick as possible.
Design.
Oh, sheesh. Design. Let me think this. I'd say it's about an 8. It's very difficult to have in this fast-paced world of construction that we're in, to have 100% drawings ready when you break ground, or when we as Valley get there with our light gauge metal framing or whatever. So, it's very, very important. But I rated it an 8 because I'm thinking, it's going to have changes, and you got to roll with the punches. You got to be fair with everybody, and I'd say an 8.
Accounting. And that kind of
I probably
a little bit.
Yeah, I probably hit that more, didn't I, on the contract administration? stating the fact that it's everything I said in regard to contract administration is really fulfills the accounting. As I mentioned it, we call it the back of the house stuff. It's very important. Again, I make that a 7 or an 8. Very important.
Selling work.
Well, that's in my role. I love selling work. Let's make it a 10. It's the start of the relationship, like a start of a marriage. It's important. And if you don't get kicked off onto the right foot with people, you're not going to be very successful. So it's very, very, very important to start any relationship off well, and especially business-wise here.
And the last one I have is leadership.
Okay, I'm gonna go above your 10. I'm gonna make that an 11.
Okay.
You've got chiefs and Indians, and every Indian wants to become a chief. And so I think the right leadership, which starts typically with ownership, and then it goes with your next level of high management people, call them vice presidents of different parts of the business, operations and sales and estimating. I mean, leadership is really what is reflected in the mirror every day in my mind. And strong leaders create strong employees that create a strong company.
Well, thank you, Jeff. And before I give you the last word, like I always do to all my guests, I just want to say, number one, thank you for the friendship. I've known you for quite some time. And once again, I've learned a lot from you. One of them being is that, this is a person-to-person business, very personal in nature, and you should treat it that way. And I have to say that, Jeff, we were talking before the podcast started about different people that we both know, and about how important it is to have those relationships, and have a genuine
and keep them, yes.
And then have a genuine, one thing I give you a lot of credit for, Jeff, is you just have this genuine. I mean, you're just a genuine person, and I can say that because I know a lot of other people who would say the exact same thing. So I want to thank you for your friendships. I also want to tell you, me and Jeff have something in common and I don't know if he still has his Mustang or not, but we both have Mustangs, so. I
sure do. I've got my 66 Mustang convertible.
So I've not had a chance to see it in person, but one of these days I'm going to come see it in person.
Well, great. So,
all right. So you get the last word, Jeff.
Oh boy, the last word, there's lots of things. I want to encourage young people to get into the trades. I want to encourage young people to get into wanting to build and to have something that they can drive down the street and say, I was involved in that. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of business out there, high paying jobs out there. For people to look, to go after. So that's one thing. I think the future's bright. I think we've got a lot of young people that are in our business of construction and want to continue to take it to the next level, make a Valley stronger, make a Turner, Messer, all those companies stronger. So I think that's big. I think patience. I want to tell everybody to have patience, not just the young people. To have patience while you want to grow and learn all aspects of this business. And I think always looking forward. And you're going to make mistakes. So that's what I'm pleading out to the younger people out there. But I tell you, I've been in this business since '81. It's been a joy. Some of my lifelong friends I've met through business. It is so much fun to see things being built. And I can't tell you how proud I am of the way that myself and my partners have built our company. And we are a relationship company, which is really, really fun. We do have enemies every once in a while, but we're really, we enjoy working together. So we just hope that the next generation of people out there, especially in our business, continue to take it to the next level.
Well, thank you again, Jeff, and appreciate your time today. You have a very successful, very unique, and very large company, and I am very proud of the fact that EKU can call you one of their own. So, so all that said, join us next week with another podcast on CONEXEC.